Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome. I am Pastor Guy, and this is Pastor's Corner. For those of you who might be new to the corner, I'm Guy Watley, and welcome to my corner of the internet. This is a place where we get together once a week to encourage the believer on how to be in the world, but not of the world. If you like what you hear, follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can live stream our Sunday morning services, 10:30 Pacific time. And we'd love to have you tune in. We're in 2 Peter right now, and as we survey Peter's letters, we'll probably dive into Jude at the end, we'll see. But anyway, welcome. I'm glad you're here. And you know, I think one of the hardest things for a Christian to do is to be in the world, but not of the world. That's why Pastor's Corner is titled as such. That's what I believe. It's what I see around me every day. It's the evidence of a fallen world and the sin in which we find ourselves. And this past week, a jury in New York State, of all states, I guess they came to a conclusion. They made a decision and awarded a young gal $2 million. Now you might say, why did this New York court award this young lady $2 million? Well, when she was 16 years old, she was deceived, she was lied to, she was led down a path, and the judgment was against a doctor who removed her breasts so that she could play being a boy. The adults in the room led her down this delusional disorder, and a doctor consummated it by removing perfectly healthy breasts from a 16-year-old girl. That is the world in which we find ourselves in America. We, out of the name of tolerance, and with this mindset that whatever one thinks in their heart must therefore be true, we deny the reality. And I can't imagine a doctor being willing to do that. And then I don't know if they altered her genitalia as well. It would not surprise me. Or maybe that surgery was supposed to come later. But she did what they now call detransitioning. And I don't like these terms that they use because, for one, a girl can never be a boy can never be a girl. We are born as we are, and yes, in the 1 in 10 million case that there is a hermaphrodite born, the genes still don't lie. So it's as somebody who lives in reality. I live in Realville, as Rush Limbaugh used to say. He claimed he was the mayor of Realville. I don't live in a delusion, and we don't. It is tragic what adults did to this young girl. But she's not isolated. It is happening across America, and it is still happening. The only good news out of this story is there are 28 other cases working their way through the courts across America involving the same thing. Young people, whether it's a boy or a girl, who have been brutalized with hormones and treatment and therapy, culminating in surgery, are suing those involved that led them down this path. And that's a hoorah. That is a wonderful thing. And the icing on top is that so far this jury agreed with her. So we'll see. I'm not putting my hope in them. My hope is in Jesus Christ. But it's wonderful that he gives us a flicker of sanity every once in a while. Now, what does this have to do with how do we live in this world? This is the world we are in. This is the adults in the room now that we have to contend with and deal with. And I got rebuked. I've been rebuked, and that's okay. I got thick skin, and I can deal with it. But there is no doubt in my mind that what we are seeing happen is demonic. Not just in nature, but driven by demons. And I say that, one need not look any further than the New Testament and the first century, and how often Jesus and the disciples were asked to cast out demons from people. As the Holy Spirit invaded the world and started indwelling the church, demonic activity withdrew, and we've seen less and less of it. But missionaries will be the first to tell you, you go on the mission field and you run into it all the time in areas where there is no gospel, where there is no church, where there are a lack of believers. And so we know Satan's motive or his MO and how he operates. And so as I can't see it any other way that you would have a room full, starting from the top of a hospital, where they are all in agreement that yes, we are going to surgically alter these children. They love to call us Christians Hitlers and Nazis. There isn't anything more Joseph Mengele than experimentation on children surgically and chemically. And it just angers me. I can't believe that there are so many adults in this nation and around the globe that are willing to do it. How do you call it anything other than demonic? And now we have a whole Democrat Party filled with elitists and with followers who line up behind it and who will argue for it. How do I know this? Because most of you who are listening today or tomorrow or whenever you tune into this haven't even heard of this story, because it's not going to be on the 6 o'clock news. It's not going to be on Dateline. The View is not going to talk about it. Nobody is going to talk about it outside of conservative media, because they're all in on it. They are against it. They think that these surgeries should be continuing, and that we're the evil ones for, quote, detransitioning these children. We're the ones that are sane. We're the only ones in the room that are adults, are the Christians, and that's why we're hated. And it's demonic, and people are under a delusion. If we go to Thessalonians, Paul's letter to the church at Thessalonica, in 2 Thessalonians in chapter 2, he says, "For the mystery of the lawlessness is already at work." This is the Apostle Paul in the first century. It's already at work. Only he who now restrains it will do so until he is out of the way. And then the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord Jesus will kill with the breath of his mouth and bring to nothing by the appearance of his coming. The coming of the lawless one is by the activity of Satan. So Paul reminds us, God wins, Jesus wins, he's already won, he's defeated him at the cross. And he will kill him in the end and throw him into the pit. But the coming of the lawless one is the activity of Satan with all power and false signs and wonders, and with all wicked deception for those who are perishing, because they refuse to love the truth and to be saved. That's what we're talking about, is an unbelieving world who refuses to love the truth and to be saved. Therefore, God sends them a strong delusion so that they may believe what is false, in order that all may be condemned who did not believe the truth but had pleasure in unrighteousness. Satan has such a stranglehold on our society and on the left, on the crazy left. That doesn't mean that everybody on the right's going to heaven or they're believers. But we know the realm in which Satan is working. And it's the crazy left, and it's indoctrination, and it's mutilating our children and aborting babies. And so we have a court in the state of New York that says this young girl, she's scarred for life, a measly $2 million. Well, it's a starting point, and hopefully the judgments will get bigger and bigger, because you know what's going to stop this? Sadly, what's going to stop this? Not sanity, the insurance companies. The insurance companies will ultimately put a halt to it because they will no longer insure people who are doing it. That is what will stop it. Their pocketbook is what's going to stop it. If they see juries starting to come back with huge sums of money, the insurance companies will relent, but they will fight. They will kick and scream all the way to the end. Why? Because of Satan and his activity, and they're deluded. Just like the average person on the street. They just don't see it and don't care until it's standing at their front door. So anyway, that's my rant for today. I apologize, sorta. But this is our world. This is where we are at. It is a spiritual battle. Do not forget it. It is spiritual warfare. You see a crazy person running up and down the street waving a sign? Satan's involved. The demons are involved. There is no other explanation. That rational men and women, learned men and women, educated people from the top down would say, you know what we need to do is mutilate kids. You know, one of the biggest lies I've always said, sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you. That's a lie from the pit of hell. And you know what another lie is? What would you rather have, ma'am? A live daughter or a dead daughter or a live son? That's what they tell parents. Would you rather have a dead daughter or a live son? In other words, if you don't let them live in this deluded world, this fantasy land, they're going to commit suicide. The statistics do not hold up. You know what statistics do hold up? That these children who are caught up in this mob mentality of gender dysphoria grow out of it by the time they're 18, 19, and in their early 20s, and they're like, man, that was a stupid phase, and they move on with their life. That's what the statistics say. But that's not what the news media is going to tell you. Anyway, I'm Pastor Guy. Just know that every news anchor you look at on TV knows about this story, but it will not cross their lips. Every one of them. I don't care how much you like them. Every news anchor you look at is a liar by omission until they start talking about this. I'm Pastor Guy, and this has been an uplifting Pastor's Corner. You have a wonderful day in the Lord, and pray for these kids. Pray for these kids. I will see you next week.